Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, grab a coffee, settle in, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Because this one's a real gut punch. My name's Clara Mitchell, and I'm 35. I live in a quiet suburb just outside Melbourne, Australia, in a modest townhouse that overlooks a narrow street lined with jacaranda trees. You know the kind, beautiful from the outside, all purple blooms in spring. But behind closed doors, not every house feels as peaceful as it looks. I work as a finance assistant for a local logistics company. Nothing glamorous, just spreadsheets, invoices, and the occasional office birthday cake. My husband, Ethan, also 35, works as a property consultant for a mid-sized real estate agency in the city. He's got that polished sort of charm, neat haircut, pressed shirts, polished shoes, and that faint trace of expensive cologne you only find in men who want to be admired. To everyone else, we probably look like one of those stable couples. No kids, a tidy home, dual incomes. People assume that means happiness. What they don't see is how quiet it's become between us. How that silence feels heavier than any argument could. Today was supposed to be special. June 24th, our 9th wedding anniversary, and coincidentally, Ethan's birthday. I'd taken a half day off from work. I wanted to make it perfect. I drove across the city to get his favorite bottle of Barossa Valley Shiraz, stopped by a boutique butcher in Richmond to pick out a marbled cut of Wagyu ribeye, and even bought a small pack of truffle butter because he once mentioned it tasted fancy. I'm not much of a cook, but I tried. I wanted him to feel celebrated, loved. By 6:30 p.m., the table was set. White linen cloth, silverware lined up perfectly, little fairy lights strung across the balcony railing to catch the evening breeze. I'd ordered a custom cake, too. Simple vanilla, smooth frosting, with the message, "To Ethan, happy birthday and anniversary." I stood in front of the mirror, adjusted my dress, dabbed on some perfume, and took a deep breath. Tonight, I thought, he'd come home smiling. Maybe we'd laugh, maybe we'd drink, maybe we'd remember why we started. At 7 p.m., I sat down and waited. At 8, I lit the candles. By 9, I sent him a message. "Dinner's ready. I'm waiting." No reply. At 9:30, I called. 5 rings. Then voicemail. At exactly 10:42 p.m., my phone buzzed with an email notification. My heart jumped, but then I saw the subject line. Client emergency. The message was short. "Sorry, big client issue tonight. Have to stay at the office. We'll make it up later." That was it. No, thank you. No happy anniversary. Not even a love you. I stared at the screen as the candles burned down to wax puddles. The steak had gone cold, the fairy lights flickered in the wind, and the cake sat untouched in the fridge. I don't even remember how long I stood there, just that I didn't cry. I couldn't. Something inside me shifted, like a quiet snap. That night, I packed away everything, wrapped the meat, took down the lights, wiped the table clean. There was no dinner to share, no one to celebrate with. Just the hum of the fridge and the sound of my own breathing. I fell asleep around midnight, still in that dress, makeup smudged, heart hollow. And that was the last night I believed Ethan's excuses. The next morning, I woke up to the alarm I forgot to turn off. 6:15 a.m., that same cheerful tune that usually means coffee and another long commute. Only this time, the air in the room felt heavier, colder. Ethan still hadn't come home. At first, I tried to tell myself he'd fallen asleep at the office, or maybe stayed with a coworker. I even laughed bitterly at the thought, because deep down, I already knew the truth. I just wasn't ready to name it. So I got dressed, packed my lunch, and drove to work like nothing was wrong. Because sometimes pretending is easier than facing what's real. By noon, I still hadn't heard from him. No message, no missed call, not even a good morning. Finally, I caved. I dialed his office number. "Hi, this is Clara Mitchell. I'm trying to reach Ethan. He's one of your property consultants." There was a short pause, the kind that makes your stomach twist. "Oh, Ethan?" the receptionist said. "He actually resigned earlier this week." I blinked. "Resigned?" "Yes, 3 days ago, actually. He didn't leave any forwarding contact information." Her voice was casual, polite, but to me it was like a hammer blow to the chest. I hung up. My hand was trembling so hard I could barely hold the phone. 3 days ago, he'd quit. He hadn't said a word. And yet, he'd let me cook dinner, string up lights, and sit there waiting like a fool. I left work early that day, drove home without even turning on the radio. Just silence, thick and suffocating, wrapping around every thought. When I unlocked the door, everything looked the same. The couch, the photo frames, the faint smell of lavender from the candle I'd burned the night before. But then my eyes landed on the shoe rack. Ethan's brown leather boots, the ones he wore almost every day, were gone. I called out his name once, twice. Nothing. When I reached the bedroom, I froze. He was there, standing by the bed, folding shirts into a duffel bag. He didn't even look surprised to see me, just annoyed. "Oh, you're back early." His voice was flat, detached, like I was an unexpected interruption, not his wife. "What's going on?" I asked. "Where are you going?" He zipped the bag, calm as ever. "I've accepted a new position. In Adelaide. I'm leaving tomorrow." My mouth went dry. "You quit your job and didn't even tell me?" "Didn't seem necessary," he said, still not meeting my eyes. Then he pulled out a thin folder from the dresser and placed it on the nightstand. I already knew what it was before I opened it. Divorce papers. I stared at the pages, the words blurring. "Ethan, what is this?" He finally looked at me, his expression calm, almost rehearsed. "You're not the partner I need anymore, Clara." I tried to keep my voice steady. "What are you talking about?" He sighed, like he was the one exhausted by all this. "You've changed. You care more about work than about us. The house is messy. You barely cook. You don't make time for me anymore." I actually laughed, a quiet, bitter sound. "I cook, Ethan. I clean. I work full time. You come home late, ignore me, eat in silence. What exactly do you contribute?" His tone hardened. A real wife doesn't need to be reminded how to care for her husband. And that was it. The moment I realized the man I loved had already left long before he packed his bags. He slung the duffel over his shoulder, brushed past me, and said, "I'll be out by morning. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." When the door shut behind him, the sound was final, sharp, echoing, like a chapter sealing itself. I stood there for a long time, holding those papers, my whole body shaking. 2 days later, I got a call from our building manager. "Mrs. Mitchell, we've received a lease transfer request. It says the current tenant has moved out." My throat tightened. "What did the note say?" "Just that you'd be vacating by the end of the month." That was Ethan's handwriting, no doubt. Neat. Cold. Final. That night, I went through the drawers, checking receipts, paperwork, everything. Almost every major purchase, every piece of furniture was under my name. He took only his clothes, a few gadgets, and his pride. And I realized something. He hadn't just left the marriage. He'd erased it. For 3 days, I left those divorce papers on the dining table. I'd pass them every morning, every night, thinking maybe I'd find a reason to fight. But all I saw was the silence he left behind. If you're still with me, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And drop a comment. Have you ever discovered someone's secret life the hard way? A week passed, 7 long days of silence, where the only sound in the flat was the hum of the fridge and the occasional creak of the floorboards. I stopped checking my phone, stopped expecting to hear from him. Then, one night, as I was washing the dishes, a notification pinged on my laptop. An email. From Ethan. The subject line? Proof. My hands froze over the sink. I clicked it open, and right there, staring back at me, was a photo of a marriage certificate. Groom, Ethan Cole. Bride, Vanessa Whitmore. Location, Adelaide, South Australia. Date, 1 day after our divorce was finalized. I didn't even have time to process it before my phone rang. His name lit up the screen. Clara, his voice came through, calm, almost smug. You've seen it, yeah? I got remarried. Life's never been better. For a few seconds, I couldn't speak. He continued, tone dripping with self-satisfaction. Vanessa's 35, runs an interior design company. Her family owns a chain of property firms down here in Adelaide. They built us a small house by the coast, and, well, she's expecting. He actually laughed. 3 months pregnant. We're over the moon. I swallowed the burn in my throat. So that's why you rushed the divorce. Partly, he said. But honestly, Clara, I just couldn't keep living with someone who treated marriage like a business partnership. You worked too much. You forgot how to be a wife. I almost laughed, but it came out as something darker. And what about your new wife? Does she know how to be a wife? She doesn't work, he said proudly. She takes care of the home. She's gentle, supportive. You could learn a thing or two from her. He was really saying this, out loud, without shame. I hung up before I said something I'd regret. That night, curiosity got the better of me. I typed Vanessa Whitmore Adelaide into Facebook. The profile popped up instantly. A beautiful woman with golden hair, flawless skin, blue eyes. Every post a highlight reel. Beach picnics, brunches, smiling selfies beside Ethan. Then, as I scrolled down, one photo made my breath catch. Her. I knew that face. Not from Adelaide, but from high school. Back then, her name wasn't Vanessa Whitmore. It was Vanessa Ellis. She was quiet, barely spoke. Wore hand-me-down clothes, always sat at the back of the class. She was the girl people overlooked, the one other girls teased for her acne and frizzy hair. And Ethan? He used to make fun of her too. I sat there, staring at her new face. Perfect nose, sculpted jawline, snow-white smile. And all I could think was, she rebuilt herself. Literally. The next day, I called my old friend from school, Lena. Do you remember Vanessa Ellis? I asked. Lena laughed. Oh, her? Yeah, hard to forget. She completely reinvented herself after school. Moved to Sydney for a few years. Rumor was she went through multiple surgeries. Jawline, eyes, chin, everything. Then she started using her middle name, Whitmore. She paused. Why are you asking? She married my ex-husband. Silence. Then a low whistle. Well, guess Ethan found his mirror image. Two people obsessed with reinvention. Perfect match, right? That night, I sat on my couch, phone in hand, staring at their wedding photo. The smiles, the flowers, the carefully posed perfection. I wasn't jealous. I was fascinated, because I finally saw what Ethan had been chasing all along. Not love, not connection, but appearance. A life that looked flawless from the outside. And he found it in someone who'd rewritten her own face to match the illusion. About a year later, I had moved on. I rented a small flat near St. Kilda, close enough to the sea that I could hear the waves at night. Started painting again, joined a weekend pottery class, even met new people, including one familiar face from the past. Nathan, an old friend from university. We'd meet for coffee, talk about work, life, small joys, no expectations, just peace. Then one evening, as I was closing my laptop after work, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Clara, it's Ethan. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. What do you want? I asked flatly. He sounded different, nervous. Vanessa had the baby. A girl. I said nothing. She doesn't look like either of us, he added quietly. It's strange. Maybe she takes after your side, I said. No, I mean, she really doesn't. I did a DNA test. She's mine. But every time Vanessa looks at her, she turns away. She won't even hold the baby. Her mum's the one taking care of her. His voice cracked a little. I don't know what to do. I closed my eyes, took a slow breath. You once told me I failed as a wife because I worked too much, I said. But now, the one who's failing as a father is you. Don't project your guilt onto that baby. She didn't ask to be born into your lies. He was silent for a long time before I ended the call. Then I blocked his number. For good. A year later, I ran into Lena again at a cafe in Fitzroy. You won't believe this, she said, leaning closer. Vanessa's filing for divorce. I raised an eyebrow. Really? Apparently, Ethan cheated. Again. With one of the new hires at her company. I sighed, not surprised. And the child? Almost 3 now, Lena said. But it's sad. She's getting bullied at preschool. Other kids found out her mom had surgery, and they tease her. The poor girl cries every day. I felt something tighten in my chest, not for Ethan or Vanessa, but for that little girl. An innocent caught in the mess of their self-obsession. Now, when I wake up in my quiet flat, sunlight streaming through the blinds, I make my coffee and step out onto the balcony. The air feels light, peaceful. No shouting, no pretending, no cold silences. I paint. I walk by the shore. I laugh again. Sometimes I think about Ethan, not with anger, but with understanding. Because his betrayal, as cruel as it was, gave me something precious, myself. You see, we spend so much time trying to fix broken relationships, thinking we just need to try harder, love deeper, forgive faster. But sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away. And that's exactly what I did. And that, my friends, is Clara's story. A reminder that not every ending is tragic. Some are just necessary. If you've ever walked away from someone who didn't see your worth, I want you to drop all in the comments, because your story matters too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. Because next week, I'm sharing another true story. One that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about love, loyalty, and second chances. Until then, stay kind, stay grounded, and remember, peace is better than perfection.